towards plays, I think this is the perfect champion. We saw it actually in the last series, Ziggs being banned. This is a potent combo that's actually been happening over in the US, in North America, over in our Challengers League system. We've got the Ziggs Tristana flex. That is such a dangerous combo, and hopefully we get to see more of these teams explore it.
Light has played it already, and it's been getting more popular in the LPL. I like that you bring it up with how many Tristanas we've actually seen mid, and the Ziggs actually just usually going towards bot side. As Renekton is a takeaway here by Ultra Prime. As a side note, TheShy has been spamming that, but you know what's been more interesting? The fact that Ivan was looked over, glossed over in so many different drafts, but now, only just now, the LPL is raising him in the priority, as it's a Tristana mid, but it's a Kai'Sa bot straight away. 3 OPs for WBG.
And depending on what Ultra Prime take, this could still be Kai'Sa mid. If we're gonna get a little spicy, there has been a lot of Kai'Sa mid starting to come back into the meta. I remember last year when Faker first brought it out and everyone was like, oh, we gotta play Kai'Sa mid, and it was incredibly fraudulent afterwards and no one picked it and immediately dropped it like 6 games plus. That's really cool. The Ivern thing I think is so interesting because they buffed it on 13-11. It was incredibly busted, and almost no professional region was actually playing on it at the time. And so 13-12 came around, they nerfed it for Daisy, and now everyone's like, okay, well, now Ivern's back. Like, they brought it back to the forefront of people's minds. Jungle already has a bunch of buff sharing. You're going to have a lot of gold being funneled into Ivern, and if no early players are going to be done, this is a very good way to punish greedy junglers.
And I love it again as well, especially since LPL's full of them, right? Greed is all we see is good. So it's such a relevant point when we see players like Ning, weiwei as well, if we do end up swapping the matchup in Game 2. But for now, I just want to point out, as Ziggs actually gets banned away from Ultra Prime, that we still need to see topside here for TheShy. And TheShy in the past has been something like a Quinn player. He's played very explosive matchups into the Renekton. I truly wonder with this Cassante down if we're actually going to get a tank frontline, a role player from TheShy, or if this is just going to be an explosive Game 1 of Snowball the hell out of your lanes for WBG.
I think I will lose my mind if I have to watch TheShy play Gragas or Malphite. I'm gonna be. There was the one Gragas play I remember like a couple weeks back. I was like, TheShy, I'm so sorry. We may need to reinvestigate this champion for you. So it is possible it's something that would play away from the fact that if you have Tristana, she will be able to grant you priority from the bottom lane. And now you have to think, not only did they have to pick top side, what are you going to be going support? Because now, by showing off the melee, I'm glad that SwordArt has taken some charge, like, this is what I really want to pick. I would love to see more disengage now here for Weibo.
Okay, well, with the Nautilus as well, building a bit of space is going to be important. For Ultra Prime, just a side note, we criticized Doggo and SwordArt quite a bit, and on those engaged supports, SwordArt hasn't been the cleanliest. And so Chris is going to show him how it's done, apparently, as TheShy, meanwhile, carry on. What is it going to be? Because that's really the only tank frontline. He plays outside the Malphite as, okay, it's a little bit different this time, Ulk. It's a little bit different. TheShy on has been a lot of fun to watch in the past. I'll give him that.
Oh, man. All right, well, I'll take it, right? Like, it is someone that's going to be tanky. I love that we get the Leona out from Chris because right now, this team from Weibo, they have a lot of tools to be able to empower both of these marksmen, but they did need someone that was actually going to be able to stand in front of them. Otherwise, I think Ultra Prime kind of just like push them over and they fall. They immediately fall down. So Ultra Prime now, they're going to finish out with one of the most picked 80 carries here for Doggo in the Aphelios. He has been so consistent on this, but it is in the 15 to 20 minute mark where I think Ultra Prime do tend to falter just a little bit, as SwordArt is like, okay, Doggo, I need you to stay alive in mid lane for like 10 seconds. I need to go and hit a ward or put down some vision for an objective. And Doggo, for one reason or another, there are just 3 people in mid lane suddenly, and he's down for the count.
I mean, it's interesting you pull that out because, again, as you look at Ultra Prime's comp, as soon as Weibo gets some items on them, look at the damage, look at the engage, and of course, Ivan by their side, you raise a pretty core issue that for Ultra Prime, they're going to need to explode, especially through these solo lanes here, Ulk, because this is how they shut the game down before it's even begun. For Weibo, then, you're also telling me that a bit more time, a stable game state is going to work perfectly for them, right?
Yeah, that should be the case. If you see Weiwei, he's going to probably go for the supportive Enchanter build like we've been seeing from many other junglers picking up the Ivern. And definitely when we're looking at either Xiaohu or Light, if one of them falls, guess what? We have a backup marksman as well. So, should be interesting. Also, I wonder if this is going to be the static Shiv Kaisa. I know that you look over at Ruler, and he has just been avoiding this item. He is just going straight up damage, straight up the 80 carry build. So, whether or not Light is going to kind of focus on that or go back towards the AP style will add a little bit of poke to be able to match someone like Jace.
Well, means if he doesn't go AP as well, there's no AP in that comp outside of minor Ivern damage. So, food for thought here as we roll into game number 1, a game that for Weibo means everything. They might have an easy schedule coming up, as we've talked about, but if they don't win any of those series, they are screwed, and it would be a massive upset before we've even gotten into playoffs. Ultra Prime can play Disturbers. They can also play the Miracle Run in the LPL. As coming into game 1, some old rivalries to take us in to the rest of your glorious Thursday. And Weiwei jumping on the Ivern to start a perfect fashion here for WBG as they try and get some points back on the board.
Now here for both of these teams, they have unfortunately lost their first matchup of Week 6. Touched on it a little bit, Weibo losing to Team WE earlier this week, and OMG actually for Ultra Prime on the other side. So wanting to turn their luck, this is the last game that Ultra Prime will play this weekend, or this week in general, so definitely want to try and at least go even. They have had a few weeks where they haven't been able to actually pick up a win. Back in week 2, actually going against WE and BLG. It's a pretty tough matchup, especially when we saw WE actually going 3-0 and then disappearing into the mist. But week 5 as well, EDG versus JDG, they have been on a bit of a string of losses, and they obviously a win would do great for them. And if they're able to kind of bounce back, maybe we can see that run that we've been talking about.
I mean, it would be a dream. Again, Weibo still have the opportunity to hit 11, but as we've seen, nothing is for certain. As this game around, we already talked about it. Ultra Prime going to need a bit of an early start to some of these lanes. Maybe bot side's not the place to be focusing, as we know what Kaisa does in the 2v2 with a bit of engage. As Zenith Blade lands on top of Doggo, there's Ignite. He cleanses, but a second skin would put Doggo down to 1/4 of his HP. I mean, we talked about it. Ultra Prime have problem with this bottom lane game after game.
Man, it's just when Doggo and SwordArt are able to play their game, when they're able to play counter to the opponent, it feels so much better. It obviously leads to Ultra Prime being able to generate some of these wins. Doggo coming out of laning phase, however, he's not the best. He has some of the lowest goal difference at 15 amongst AD carries, and so it is all about being able to survive in the early game. And I kind of like this. We were talking about being some greedy gamers here in the LPL. Doggo, instead of going for anything that has to deal with lane, he knows that he has the Severum, he has not even the fleet footwork actually, I just noticed. Going for this call early on will mean that early game impact should go over to Weibo. You see how dangerous this Kaisa and Leona can be. It's an old combo, we've seen it multiple times. You just want to go in and send everything, especially now that the cleanse is gone.
And it's one of Chris' best champion on the Leona as well, by the way. Like, outside of his Thresh in historical events, outside of some of his great Nautilus games, like, I think of Chris as one of the best Leonas in the LPL. As for some reason, as we go topside, we are looking at an Ornn stat in the LPL. 70% win rate after 23 games. I mean, I'm kind of surprised, actually.
Man, champion's good. Glad to see that Ornn is getting some good love and representation here in the LPL. Especially when we saw the early part of the split with how dominant Cassante was. It's actually pretty surprising because that Cassante matchup is not fun. This is one of the worst Ornn matchups. So getting rid of it, we saw it in the draft. Coming into this game, though, you already see there's a bit of a split map here as Ning is a very sad gamer right now. He went back to his top side. Weiwei had already stole a few of his camps, and so a lot of protection, and it allows now for Weibo to set up this continuum map state where their bottom lane is winning. Mid lane, Xiaohu already getting the TP out of Dream, and will have a pretty favorable back already with this teleport coming in. Needs to be very careful. I mean, it is a recurve bow to a tier here for this chase. This is one of the best starts you can get.
Looking at bot side, meanwhile, though, just to pause, the SwordArt gets the dredge line in, but it could be tree difference towards the mid lane as Weiwei thinking about jumping in, but that root caller out of range. Meanwhile, the fat tree is looking towards a bit of a scuttle play, but it's already marked up by Weiwei. The friend of the forest incoming, but Ning are able to get it, and there we go. Maybe the aesthetics and the athletics of Weiwei is just not enough at this point.
Ning is screaming, I was here before you were even available, okay, Weiwei? My champion's older than yours. I'm a veteran here in this league. I came back out of retirement just to show up, you know, show some of you kids how it's done. I love the video, actually, from LPL that came out like a couple days ago about having the players rate some really unique clips from personalities around this space.
Dude, Ning literally, like,
good
dumpster Dom. Like, what a rude man. He literally gave Dom a 0 for the play. So much flow.
I love it too because listening to Ning, he's just like, he didn't do anything special. It was a stupid play. And then I go and I see Dom's reaction to it. He's like, first of all, Ning, you don't know what you're talking about, okay? Back then, Gragas ult was like super instant. You could not do anything. So we see a bit of a trade here. Good for Doggo, but they are now baiting Weiwei in here. He's now a 3v2.
He's been spotted out. Doggo with instant flash away. SwordArt has his own, but Weiwei going into melee range. Root caller in. Light fully committing. The W connects, and Weiwei gives him a little tap of it in as first blood goes over to WBG.
Oh man, he gets the first blood as well. Xiaohu's got to be careful.
Whoop.
Ning is in the area. Ning could flash here and find it. Xiaohu also has his flash, so it will be a trade. You know, doesn't get the summoner out from Dream, but still a plate. We'll have to take a recall here. Should be a miss of experience. Weibo could come mid and try to collect on this, help protect mid lane. Fantastic play from Weibo all around. Gets good action in mid lane as well as setting up their bot lane for success. There are no summoners yet again for Doggo.
Oh my god, that was a flash burnt for the shock blast. I mean, hey, I would have done the same. Damage so close from Dream. You got to pay respect for trying to make that play because Xiaohu was about 40 HP away. He's smiling. He knows he got away with murder there.
You know what? That's exactly what we were talking about, right? Like, we want to see exciting stuff from players like Dream. When you're having this call up, when you're having the ability to play on the LPL stage again as a substitute, there's going to be so much that maybe other players are not going to be expecting. Maybe they have already like mentally prepared to have to play up against Forge and some of his tendencies. But now you're playing up against kind of a new player. Hey, they could pull out anything. They could be just as spicy. And while it doesn't turn into a kill there, having that mindset is always really nice to see.
And on the note of Dream as well, he's, you know, kind of new in the sense that he hasn't had many splits in the LPL, but he's still experienced. And I think Dream has had massive impact. A lot of people remember games like the Lysandra on V5. Even Dream, I think at the time, were we Renekton midding or not? But either way, we were seeing so much great gameplay from someone like Dream. His lane as well was quite impactful. So I'd like to see Ultra Prime taking a bit of a risk here, but so far, outside of that flash forward, we're not getting too much out of him. Bit of a CS discrepancy towards mid. And speaking of CS across the Rift, with a 1k gold lead, Weibo definitely taking advantage of bot side as Daisy's coming in. It's called the Forge Goblet, flashed well by Hery. Root caller there. So TheShy gets a free grass proc as Weiwei in the right place, the right time. Seeing TheShy getting ganked is definitely a kink for many fans.
That is one of the favorite things. They wanted to see it from Karsa last split. They're going to get it from Weiwei this split. Everybody's super happy. All the Weibo fans, they're like rubbing their hands together like, yes, we're getting TheShy back. We're getting all the resources for him. Good job from Weiwei. That wave was crashing for Hery, and so definitely wanted to get a recall before that. And it was just a great punish coming out from them. For Ultra Prime now, you're down 2 kills, potentially looking onto the bottom lane here.
Xana's play doesn't connect though. SwordArt going to get poked out. Ning is trying to get in an angle with Nature Scratch with the depth charge. Great ulti from SwordArt. If they get the lockdown, but the ulti from Xiaohu is even better. He's rooted up forever and a day, but Crisp still doesn't die as Weiwei's Daisy gets sent back over to the court. But for Weibo, they survived after getting pushed out and Ultra Prime finding a good disengage. Or rather,
MVP of that fight is Daisy, 100%. She actually knocked up Ning before he can get into that fight and delayed a lot of the damage that I think Ultra Prime were looking for. And while they do stop the Rift Herald, a winning play for them, it is now giving alone time for Doggo to at least get a plate. Unfortunately, overextends. Doggo.
Okay, W melee range. Look who's here again. Weiwei is everywhere. Severum used as the root caller doesn't connect, so Weiwei is running out of tools. Again, Daisy's down for a little bit longer. So that is an ult coming through from Light. Doggo burning his own, but still surviving. Is good news knowing that Hery can push top without a jungler nearby.
He knows that Ning is on his side of the map. They've now shown That was just a really good way and a strong sense of survival coming out from Doggo. Otherwise, they lose out on all sides of the map. Now, Xiaohu and TheShy, can these solo laners pop off?
I mean, WBG SwordArt getting close here to getting a dredge line down. Chris now in, he's level 6, but that ulti not up and available. Zenith Blade will still connect, though. Into the back, Ning wants a smite, but he's knocked up. The damage there, and weiwei steals it anyway. Ulti from Xiaohu not even needed. He's just autoing to death. With the steal comes the kills, and comes the Ultra Prime dismay as they lose it all.
Ultra Prime, they just didn't have Nautilus Ultimate in that case, and Chris did. I mean, Hery, look, you don't have the most amount of damage right now. This is not the top lane Renekton that we were expecting. When you have a Renekton, you want to be able to play for priority around the Rift Hill. They started this up. This was Ultra Prime's priority to go for. But, I mean, this hook just does not land, and the play is just over at this point. Crisp has now arrived, and even if this fight had extended, TheShy's ultimate was coming up. It was doomed from the start.
Hery not getting that W down. A lack of coordination in the fight here from Ultra Prime. And unfortunately, the Renekton, as you were saying, damage is not there because he's kind of useless in that one. And TheShy suddenly is 2-0 on this Ornn. Like, everything's going fine here. As for the Forge God, hello, Dream, knock up, Xiaohu kill number 2 for him as Herald gets the charge. And now suddenly Ning has decided to defend. It might be if they stick around, but under turret, it's dangerous to TheShy. Going to get himself a knock up here. Dredge line avoided. Zenith Blade connected. A 3rd kill for Giga Ornn in the top side. And WBG are 6-0. This is exactly what we wanted to see today.
Someone check on Pedro right now. He's losing his mind. We're getting Giga Shy on the Ornn. He's popping off. He even TPs to catch this wave. They are giving no quarter to Ultra Prime. It feels more like a nightmare for them, as this game 1 has just been nothing but Weibo wins and a few Ultra Prime losses to boot. Like, they can't get the Rift Tail. There hasn't even been a first Drake started yet, so there's no hope of potentially trying to go for a win condition through the Dragon Soul stacking. Xiaohu has completely dominated this mid lane matchup, which did need some attention from the junglers, but it's completely backfired now. The Jace won't have that same advantage of playing through range and trying to poke out some of these carries. Ivor now finishing his first item with the Moonstone, so it's going to just be continuing to be a menace. You thought you didn't have lethal before? Now you have to deal with extra tank stats, extra enchanters as well, so there's an additional bar for them to cross.
As we said, Ultra Prime really needed this early game. The fact that they've got nothing, no first item outside of the Demonic Embrace makes it hard, as Ning, speaking of, doesn't have the ulti up for this dragon, but they're starting it regardless. Weibo coming in is at 100, now going down. SwordArt with a good engage on top of Xiaohu, locks him down, but they haven't killed him. He stands in front of 4. SwordArt dies in the trade as Crisp is now in the middle. He flashes over the wall, but a 1-for-1 trade afterwards, despite losing dragon. How was Xiaohu allowed to just auto for so long?
Everybody thought, like, okay, he's dead. Like, someone else is going to auto him. He was able to get a few off and even go for that 1-for-1 like you were saying. What this means, however, for Ultra Prime is they're going to continue to lose plates on the opposite side. It's going to be more jungle camps for them. So Ning is going to have to play on Ultra Economy mode at this point. Almost no camps for him to actually take. May have to start stealing some of his laners, but Dream hasn't even finished a Mythic. Neither has Doggo at this point. And they're playing so perfectly around the fact that Xiaohu on this Tristana needs to have priority. They've already taken down the mid-tier 1, and just moving across some of the cascading effects of these lanes falling apart thanks to the mid lane dominance here out of Weibo.
Let's just see if Ultra Prime are able to get any... Oh, God. Cameraman. Great timing.
No.
Yeah, no.
After the Care Kiana replay package that you guys got the other day, I just knew these observers were playing a different game. They know. Dude, they know what they're doing.
They literally did that perfect timing. Of course they do. Is jumping onto turret. Xiaohu's playing with fire, but Izzy flushes. Oh my God! Dodges the Nature's Grasp as well. Ultra Prime want to get on top of him, get revenge, but buffers with the W. Chris now with the Zenith Blade in. Xiaohu with his 4th kill. That was sexy. Oh, chef's kiss.
Oh man, Xiaohu, that was just incredible, man. Like, what great mechanics coming out from a legendary mid laner here in the LPL. You know, we're getting away. I think the mid laners have to be happy with the meta right now, because we've gotten away from Ahri every single game, Annie, a lot of the champions that aren't mechanically the super flashiest, but definitely get the job done. Now we're getting Tristanas, we're getting things, even like the Kai'Sa. I'm excited. This is getting to a fun part of the meta, and it's definitely more exciting as we get into playoffs for these teams.
World's better, man. Better be like as enhanced or more enhanced than this, right? Different champions through mid that we look at as a priority. Like the flexibility there is huge, as you were saying.
Oh,
we get
yes!
the POV from Xiaohu. I mean, this was ambitious under turret, knowing full well the enemy team has 3.
I just love with how much trust Xiaohu. He knows his damage, maybe even getting surprised here and there, but you know that Dream can't do anything. And you have the flash, that's for him to make the outplay. He knows that at least Maokai's in the area. Maybe wasn't expecting for SwordArt to show up either way. Still makes his way out of the play and just plays perfectly now. I mean, there's 15 minutes. We have Dragon, or we have the Rift Herald now spawning. There's not much for Ultra Prime to do, and with weiwei here, Hery.
He just W'd in. Xiaohu doesn't care. Ning now spotted out. As you said, weiwei makes it so much easier with that Moonstone Renewer, as the damage is too much to bear. Xiaohu is taking names. TheShy wants a piece of that action. Onto Hery, knock up there, double knock up, and getting the passive with so much to follow through. Light is a dirty kill stealer, but 10-1, and Weibo are showing off in this first game.
So what we wanted to see, I think it is the bar that we need to expect from Weibo, is this level of play, how dominant these players are in this map, because otherwise, you look at a Weibo coming out of spring, coming out of the regular season, the playoffs, people were very disappointed. We talked about it at the beginning of the show, but this is a team that everybody was expecting, yourself included, to be very high up, be a top 4 team, playing for it.
Yep.
And when we get to see them operating, this is the kind of level that we see from Weibo, where they just absolutely shatter a game. 6,000 gold at almost 18 minutes. I mean, Xiaohu is just playing with zero fear here.
Absolutely. I mean, again, using weiwei so well, this Ivan pick, I feel like we haven't talked about enough, has been so proactive on the early part of the map. And you can see the support that he provides for Xiaohu to jump in like that.
Ivern's such an annoying champion. I actually got to play some of him today. We played like Ivern, Rengar, mid-jungle duo. Just disgusting. That champion is not okay. It's really cool. I'm glad that we're seeing more of it. This champion is essentially unchanged from when it was even before a lot of the changes that we saw in 13-11. So glad that people are starting to pick it up now, because we're starting to see everybody choose this champion. We've moved away from our Wukongs, from the Vi's. Now we're getting this kind of stuff. Like, I mean, we were talking about it the other day with JDG, but Kanavi's pulling out the Belveth. We're getting Rels as well in the jungle going into playoffs. These are a lot of champions that are very spicy and a lot different than some of the most ubiquitous champions, I think you would think, from the jungle over the past couple years.
Dude, Vi Wukong has been stuck with us for like 4 months, so I completely agree. Even the Maokai is falling a little bit down the priority list here in the LPL, but having said that, as we keep our minds stuck in this game, we're talking up Weibo so much already because they are dominating, despite a couple of trades on turrets and that 1 kill from Ultra Prime, and you can say the Dragon. It's been nothing here to really pry on about and talk about, because Weibo are taking the name. As Xiaohu, the turret pushing pressure is so large. Every time Ultra Prime have to connect, you just see the AoE damage is enough that Ultra Prime have to pay respect. The Solar Flare comes through as well. Just like that, UP have to stand and watch now with an 8k gold disadvantage.
The way this team composition is supposed to operate is Ning gets a bit of extra damage by going this first strike and a bit of AP on this Maokai, and you also have the Jace to be able to assist with the poke. But now that that's all fallen apart, they need to overforce. They need to have SwordArt and Ning flash themselves in. Hery on this Renekton, until he has flash, is not going to be a credible threat onto the backline. So they do need to change how they operate in-game. The drive that they're in is a little too slow. They're stuck in first gear. They need to start kicking it in, because this game is getting away from them incredibly fast. Almost 10,000 gold here at the 19-minute mark. Now they've got the second Dragon to worry about. I mean, Ultra Prime, it feels like the game has kind of gone and passed them at this point.
And so what do you do? How do you set up pick potential here? Because, again, if they need to really put this game in 5th gear, it feels like Ning's job, right? Hery's job on a flank here in this teleport Renekton. Like, where do they find these angles?
It's going to be on wards. They need to take the time. Anytime that Weibo have gone and recalled. That is your timer to move out onto the map, clear vision, get some flank wards, and you need to make a single pick. It needs to be on one of these squishy members. Maybe it's onto the Kai'Sa. Xiaohu with both his summoner and the flash, as well as the ultimate available, I think is a very difficult target to bring down. So the options are slim. You really need to catch someone who's maybe not super paying attention, or maybe who's someone's overextending. Definitely something that will happen in a Weibo game here or there. And it has to be on Ning. We've already talked about it, but even Dream now, finishing the Miramana soon. With this completion, I think this is as strong as Ultra Prime are going to get.
Well, they might want to take the fight now, then, or at least throw it in the air. Doggo caught out. The Gale Force does nothing. Even the flash, it's just matched out by the Killer Instinct. Meanwhile, Hery, not as tanky as he wishes, as light as burn a flash on the back end, but now the follow-up continues. 5 versus 3, longer death time. Daisy on a mission. They want to end right here.
It's the AP Kai'Sa. You can keep firing. It's going to be Dream going down. 13-1 here. They've got a wave in top lane if they really need it, but they've also got Ivern. They can have TheShy TP in. This should just be the end.
Well, let's see. At least with Doggo's 10-second timer, maybe it pauses there. It depends on SwordArt as he dredge lines in a little bit early. It means Light's going to get free damage. The flash away in the end as well shows you the state they're in. As double TP, you nailed it down.
Doggo's up.
Ultra Prime, now even with the revive, are going to lose one next
Hery
turret. Hery jumping in, but he doesn't have ulti, so it doesn't matter. SwordArt getting bopped away as Xiaohu once again. Say his name. There's nothing small about him this time around, as with the respawn, Dream is just cannon to the fodder. And waiting for the next wave. Weibo are just playing with their food at 21 minutes. It's so easy. Dream is going to die again. And with a 21-minute win, with a 17-1 kill score, I think, ladies and gentlemen, we should have a bit more faith in Weibo after this solid game 1.
Just a great game 1 from them. One that it didn't look like there were many avenues post the first couple minutes. You saw how Light and Crisp were trading in the bottom lane. Felt like Ultra Prime, before the game could even start, really, they got zero ability